Winners prepare for everything. If I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. That's a famous quote from Abraham Lincoln, and it's also a famous sales quote because people always reference sharpening the axe, preparing, practicing your talk tracks, all those sort of things for preparation come down to sharpening your axe to make sure you're more effective. The opposite of preparing for something is just to wing it. And what I find is that the majority of salespeople wing it. Winging something does not have a long-term mindset. Because what happens is you're saying, I'm willing to risk what happens right here in this moment. And that risk is going to affect you in the long term. I look at it like this. Either you run the day or the day runs you. You know, a recent study showed that people are late or they procrastinate or they wing it for 2 reasons. The first one is they didn't realize how long an activity would take them and they just lost track of time. And the second thing is multitasking. Multitasking is a real problem today because every single time our phone vibrates in our pocket, we think we have some sort of notification on one of our many different apps that we have. Multitasking is something that is a real problem, and you need to realize that if you want to be a winner and you want to be the best in your sales career, you've got to learn to manage that because it's going to take out time that you would use from preparing and being the best. Oprah Winfrey said, "I believe luck is preparation meeting opportunity." If you hadn't been prepared when the opportunity came along, you wouldn't have been lucky. That's so true, and that's been said a lot of different ways, but it doesn't change the fact that it is a true statement. For me, I can think of one specific instance of preparation that always stands out to me in my sales career. And it's when my boss came up to me, I was a sales manager, he was my VP, and he said, "Derek, are you prepared to sell this new product?" And I said, "Oh yeah," because I wanted to be confident, right? And I was like, yeah, of course, I'm going to sell so many of them. And he said, "Well, I'm going to sell more than you." And I said, "That's not true." And I thought it was like an ego thing. And he's like, "No, really, let me tell you why I'm going to sell more than you." And he says, "Did you know that this new product is 14 inches wider than the other one? And there's an image contact sensor that takes the documents as they come in and it moves it around and it course corrects it to make sure that it auto skews the paper as it goes through. And then there's a registration ruler that straightens it up and an exit module that makes sure that it flips the paper as it gets to a certain point." And he's telling me all this stuff. And I'd never heard before. And I said, "Wow, where did you learn all this? How did you know it?" He says, "Guess where I was last night?" I said, "Where were you?" He says, "Well, I was in front of that product practicing my demo script on what I do with it." And he said, "That's why I know I'm going to sell more than you, Derek." And so I always remember that because I called up my wife, who's my wife now, but girlfriend at the time, and I said, "Hey, let's go work on my demo script for this product and we'll go get sushi or something afterwards." And she said, "Okay, fine." And I spent that evening practicing on this product. And no one else was there. I didn't have a mentor showing me, but I had a mentor to chase. And I was there practicing. I practiced and practiced and practiced. And then what happened is, once I was done practicing, I worked on my skills to obviously sell it and get that person down the pipeline and the sales funnel and everything like that. And my boss and I ended up selling more of those products than anyone in the country by a lot. I think we combined for 50 in that quarter, and the next closest area in the country was like 3. We did really well. But what happened is it was that little extra time of preparation. It was that 4 hours of sharpening the axe that changed everything for us. Everyone else was just winging it. That same thing applies to a lot of different parts of business, a lot of different things that you can apply. For example, meetings. You have meetings every single day. You will, whether they're with customers or whether you're with your boss or with your company. What could just a few extra minutes for that meeting do for preparation for you? If you're thinking about a meeting with your boss and you spent 5 extra minutes getting ready for it, you're going to be that much better at that meeting, aren't you? If it's a company-wide meeting, you spend 5 extra minutes getting ready to be in front of everybody else and to be on top of your game, right? What's that going to do for you looking in your company? What about a speech that you have in front of a lot of people? I'll tell you this, I've had to do plenty of speeches in my career, and what people don't realize is that by the time I actually do the speech, I've actually practiced that speech probably 50 times. I do it in the car, I do it by myself. I do it in the mirror. And everyone else, when they see me deliver that speech, they think that I just winged it, that I'm just up there, I just did a great job with my speech. What they don't realize is that that's my 51st time doing it. Same thing as with preparation. You got to look at that. And it also applies to talk tracks, your talk tracks over the phone, your objection handling over the phone. Listen, winners don't wing anything. They can't afford to. And as a result, they always look like they're the best. Just a few minutes can be the difference between the top sales performer and the rest of the company. So I have a couple different documents for you attached to this video that you can use to start thinking about the things that you can do in 5 minutes to make these different areas even more successful for you. One document has some examples, like maybe you want to get ready for your next prospecting phone blitz or your next field blitz in the field. Maybe it's an appointment with a customer or appointment with a new customer, or maybe it's an appointment or it's a meeting with your company. Think about the things that you can do, the extra things you can do in those 5 minutes just to go from looking normal to looking like a top sales performer. You'll be amazed with the results.